Hi everyone, I'm John C. Morley, the host of the J. Moore Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Well, hey guys, it's John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It's great to be with you on the J. Moore Tech Talk Show. This is Friday. It is July 25th, 2025. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last Friday of July for 2025. So welcome to the show. If you are new here, I want to take this opportunity to personally welcome you. Our show is from Botnets to robot Umps. The week tech got, well, let's say a little wild, Series 4, and we are on show 30. Hey friends, if you have not had a chance to check out believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations, well, I encourage you to go ahead and pop by there after the show. Of course, not right now. Definitely great to have everybody with me here. And be sure to let all your friends and colleagues know about the show. Hey, and if you are thirsty, I have my cup of decaf tea here. Delicious and hot. You'd like to get something, feel free to do that. I had a great pasta for dinner, and I just finished having an amazing tres leche cake, which is absolutely outstanding. All right, guys, let's kick this all off. All right, everyone. So welcome to another info-packed episode of the ever-popular J. Moore Tech Talk Show. With me, John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, podcast coach, host, entrepreneur, engineer, video producer, graduate student, and a lot more. And I do thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here on this show tonight or whenever you're watching. So, as I said, welcome, and welcome. And I'm the guy who makes tech fun, informative, and actionable for so many people. Whether you're a tech geek, have a curious mind, or just trying to keep up with, well, the latest buzz in the digital world. Now, this episode is built to blow your mind and to spark great conversations. Number one is the TikTok deal. We talked about those, right, a while ago, right? And what actually, was happening with TikTok. And there was a challenge with that, but we'll get into that a little bit later. I think the most important thing that I want to share with all of you is that that TikTok deal is kind of, it's moving forward. And I won't say that anything new has happened, but in September, there will be some things happening. So just wanted to share a little bit of an insight there about that. India targets Google and Meta over the betting ads. India's financial crime agency is stepping up pressure on tech giants. Executives from Google and Meta have been summoned as part of a deep investigation into the betting apps accused of laundering money. Authorities suspect these platforms promoted or enabled illegal betting despite warnings. And this is sparking national concern about the dangers posed to youth. And this is more than just a legal issue. It's about what we call tech accountability. And I think that's something that everyone needs to be concerned about, guys. Everyone needs to be concerned about it. So India's financial crime agency, the Enforcement Directorate, has summoned the executives, as I mentioned. And the agency is going to examine funds received from betting apps and scrutinize any promotion of offline or online gambling. And the probe highlights growing concerns over the financial and social risks gambling posing, especially to the youth. So, a lot of people do things and they hope they're going to get away with them. And if they do, you know what? They either decide to do it one more time or they say, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore, right? Because maybe they got smart or they know somebody else that got burnt. Our second topic for this week is Netflix. Netflix does something very interesting. They use AI for faster, cheaper VFX. So you might be asking, John, what is VFX in movies? Well, VFX basically is visual effects. Um, it's a digital process used to create and manipulate imagery that is added to live action footage, often in post production. For example, I do VFX all the time. When if you watch a lot of my reels, I have written custom code that actually does things like drop letters on the screen and kind of like does them in a certain effect and then pulls them back. So that's VFX. Netflix is basically rewriting the rules of filmmaking by integrating generative AI into its production pipeline. The hit sci-fi series, the Astronaut, used AI to generate jaw-dropping building collapse scenes that didn't really happen, and 10 times faster and significantly cheaper than traditional visual effects. This isn't just about saving money, guys. It's about unleashing new creative power in storytelling. And Hollywood, well, needs to take some notes, right, to what's actually going on, because this is very big, guys. So, like I said, with the buildings collapsing, and according to the co-CEO Ted Sarandos, the AI-powered sequence was completed 10 times faster at a fraction of the cost compared to traditional VFX methods, making it feasible for the show's budget. Netflix views AI not just as a cost saver, but as a creative tool, as I mentioned, to enhance filmmaking. But is this killing people's jobs? Is this authentic? I think in some regards, we have to be careful that, we're not just using technology to do stuff when we know ourselves that technology can do some great things, but we also don't want to be cloning stuff, right? We want to be able to use technology in a way that is going to be doing the best for the greater good of all concerned. So I think that's a very, very important thing. And we'll definitely keep our eyes peeled on this, guys. Number 3, Russia shuts down mobile internet nationwide. In a dramatic move, Russia has disabled mobile internet access in over 60 regions in response to the Ukraine's drone activity. Now, these shutdowns are severely impacting daily life, from payment apps to rural communication. Experts warn this is about more than drones. It's an ongoing shift toward, digital authoritarianism, restricting freedom in the name of national security. And I think this is a concern for, a lot of people out there in our world. And so, Russia basically, with the headline of cell phone internet disruptions, they're spreading across Russia as the officials are imposing shutdowns to counter the Ukrainian drone attacks. And like I said, affecting over 60 different regions. So these outages have caused widespread issues, from failed electronic payments and malfunctioning apps to hampered communication in rural areas, deepening daily challenges for Russians. Experts warn the shutdowns legitimize government control over the internet, part of a broader, Kremlin effort to restrict online freedom amid ongoing conflict and security concerns. Of course, they can always deem it in any country, say, this is a security concern, and suddenly, guess what happens? Oh, then you can't do that anymore. We were just having this conversation. I was at a ribbon cutting the other day for the chamber, and there was a nature facility that was having a grand opening that had been there 69 years. Next year's going to mark 70 years for the anniversary. And they took an old house and they basically gutted it, and they brought plumbing in, electric in, and gas and sewer, and they did a pretty amazing job, with the facility. And they still have a second renovation that's going to be happening in a couple months, and then that'll be done by their March or May timeline for the actual grand opening. So I bring this to your attention because, these types of things, they happen every day in our world. And I think, like this particular situation, I was having a conversation with one of the people that's a volunteer on one of the boards there for the association for this nature place. And we were talking about the fact that, if something's not the way the town or the borough wants it, well, they can make an ordinance in such a way that it seems to affect nobody else, but it's directly written for you. They shouldn't do this, and it prevents you from doing something they don't want to do. So that's why they pass the ordinance. And it's a very specific ordinance that they pass. And it's just kind of weird. We were just talking about that. So again, what's the Kremlin up to? Your guess, is as good as mine. But we know the Kremlin's all about control. And if control is not there, well, then they want to take it from somewhere. And if they see that people are getting control, well, then they want to do what they can to try to, let's say, get rid of, that control. And I think these are things that a lot of people, they don't really understand what it stands for. But in the end game, I mean, they're just doing everything they can to get rid of any perceptions, because we know that perceptions can cause a huge problem in any government, right? We definitely know that. So that's a very important thing that I want to share with you, is that, we have to do things for the greater good of all concerned, okay? And that's an important thing, right? A very, very important thing. Number 4, guys, San Jose trains 1,000 workers in AI tools. Mayor Matt Mahan of San Jose, California, is championing a bold new direction in city governance, training 1,000 public workers to harness AI from drafting budgets to solving crimes. These tools are streaming productivity while respecting the role of human oversight. San Jose is the fast becoming the blueprint for AI integrated government. Now, is AI good at government? I'm not going to tell you that AI is good. I'm not going to tell you AI is bad. AI is a tool, and how you choose to use it really makes it so. And that's just the truth, guys. That is absolutely, absolutely the truth. And that truth, if you really look into it, will get you to see why things are happening a certain way. Okay. I think that's very important. And I think if you can understand why a government is doing something, my concern is, what are they doing for security, right? For privacy? Because my big concern is, if they're using AI, all right, whether it's the free or the paid AI, we know that they don't really respect your rights when you say not to use your data. They're not supposed to, but I just don't really trust them. Okay. And that's a very big problem for me, because I've seen what they've done. I put things down on purpose to see if they get spread, and they do. They do. They absolutely, absolutely do. But this whole thing that he's been working on, right, this trend, it's using ChatGPT now to prepare his own speeches and draft a $5.6 billion budget. By next year, the city aims to train, as I said, the 1,000 workers, which is about 15% of its staff, to use AI tools for tasks like pothole reporting, bus routing, and crime solving. Early adopters report significant productivity gains, including securing multi-million-dollar grants, while city officials are emphasizing that AI should assist, not replace human judgment. And I cannot emphasize that enough. AI should assist, not replace human judgment. And it should be done with transparency and, of course, safeguards, because we see what's happening in the medical world, right? People use AI to get a diagnosis, but that diagnosis, folks, can be completely wrong. But everybody says, well, because we have this database and because we've gone through so many hours, that doesn't mean it's right, guys. It does not mean it's right. And if it doesn't mean it's right, you know what happens? It's going to cause people to get extremely, extremely frustrated. that make sense? I hope it does. Let's move on to number 5. Meta's translation falsely, makes a really big blunder in reporting a politician's death. Meta has made headlines for the wrong reason this week when its auto-translate feature mistakenly declared a prominent Indian politician dead. The error came from a Tribune post, and the resulting panic was a stark reminder of the limitations of AI in language accuracy, right? Because it matters, especially in sensitive public-facing tools. I think that's a very, very important thing. Does that make sense? I think that's an important thing to realize, what went on with this whole caper. And the caper is this, guys. The caper is that what they're doing seems like something interesting, but it might not necessarily be the right thing to do. And I want to talk with you about another one. This is our 6th point this week. How many of you guys know when was the very first, let's say, professional baseball game in the U.S.? Does anybody know? Well, according to some research, it was May 14, 1871, between Fort Wayne, Keyonigas, and the Cleveland Forest Cities. The Keyonigas won the game 2-0 according to the baseball references, and this game was part of the inaugural season of the National Association of Professional Baseball Players. And I think that's an important thing for us to realize. But now that we appreciate baseball so much, what would happen if you went to a baseball game and suddenly there were no umpires? No umpires at all. How can you play baseball without an umpire? Well, there weren't any human umpires. There were robot umpire boxes that were replacing the human beings. Well, robot umpires are being tested in MLB right now as we speak. Baseball is stepping into the future as robot umpires take the field. Using sensors and replay challenges, this high-tech officiating system is designed to eliminate human error in pitch calls. Traditionalists may protest, but fans craving fairness and speed are embracing this next-gen upgrade to America's favorite pastime. My question is, what do you think about this? Is this something that you would want in your game? I don't think I would. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, everyone? I think if you can understand some things, it makes a lot of sense. And I got to tell you, but having umpires do the game is a lot different than, robot umpires invading MLB. Pitch calls go high tech. Okay, that's the most important thing. Does that make sense, everybody? And I think that's interesting. As I said, baseball is stepping into the future. But the big question is, and this is a really, really big question, when will MLB be using robot umpires? Well, not in 2025. That's one thing. They put a game on. I think it was on. They did something in July, and they're just trying to see what's going on, and they're trying to see how people. Does that make sense, everybody? I hope you like that. And I think this thing with MLB has me a little bit on the edge because I think it's changing the way baseball is going to be played. And I think, from what I'm seeing, we're probably going to see it in, I don't know, we're probably going to see it in 2026 sometime. And I know that can sound like a little bit crazy, but absolutely it is the truth. So they claim they're doing it because of human error in pitch calls. And I know that you're probably saying, like, that's something that shouldn't be changed. And I agree it should not be changed. Right? And if it's not changed, then that would change the way, if it's not changed, we would be back to the way things are, right? And maybe you're saying to me, John, like, what's the difference? I think the big difference is that they're looking at this as a business. Does that make sense, everybody? And I think this is something that's going to take some time for people. I think a lot of people are concerned with what's going on. And I think as you listen a little more, you might realize what's going on in baseball. And maybe we'll get some answers to why they're doing these things. Does that make sense? And maybe if you went to a baseball game and that was how it was, I think most people, when you think about an umpire, you wonder like why this is going that way. And I think the reason it happens is because people were trying to make baseball better. And if we had to ask, why are they contemplating uh, digital umpires? Um, they're getting tired with the way the games are called. They want better accuracy. They want consistency. They don't want to have people thrown out in the games, right? And maybe that'll make you think about what's going on. But I don't want to see digital umpires on the field. I really don't. Number 7, guys, ICE taps Medicaid data to track immigrants. This is crazy. A privacy bombshell dropped this week, and ICE has gained new access to a federal Medicaid database containing health records of nearly 80 million Americans. The stated goal, and to locate undocumented immigrants, critics argue this erodes trust in the healthcare system and expands government surveillance into deeply personal territory. Does that make sense? I know that can sound crazy. But as we think about what's going on with ICE, right, because of President Trump and everything he's doing, you know, critics are arguing that this is eroding trust in the healthcare system. And I think that's a big problem for a lot of people. So ICE has gained unprecedented access to a federal Medicaid database. And under a new information sharing agreement reviewed by Wired Magazine, the stated purpose is to help the agency identify and locate undocumented immigrants. Critics are raising alarms over the potential misuse of personal medical information and the risk to immigrant privacy, especially as health data is now being used for immigration enforcement rather than its intended healthcare purpose. I think if we can understand some things, like why ICE is trying to do this, but I feel that they are breaching the law. And the law is supposed to be there to protect us, right? Now, here's something I don't know if you guys know. Your social security number is not unique. It's not unique. And because it's not unique, I will tell you that it's something that you have to take good care of. Now, if you're an immigrant, the number on your visa, that number they're issuing, so your number is in two different databases. Okay? That's what it is. Your number is on two different databases. Hope that helps. And maybe we need to look at the policies that are out there. We need to figure out why things are going a certain way and maybe why they're not. And if we can't figure that out, then we're abusing the legal system, privacy, immigration, and so many other things. And I have a problem when things get abused. I really do. Oh, number 8, China hackers have breached the United States National Guard. Over 6 months to a year, they've done this. A China-linked hacking group dubbed, quote-unquote, Salt Typhoon infiltrated the U.S. National Guard's network and remained undetected for almost a year. This revelation is part of a broader cybersecurity crisis that also exposed vulnerabilities in IRS data sharing and outdated infrastructure. That's pretty cool, right? But the stakes for digital defense just got a lot higher now. This revolution that we're going through is part of a broader wired security road roundup that also uncovered the IRS secretly sharing data with ICE and exposed a 20-year-old vulnerability in train braking systems still in use today, underscoring widespread risks across critical government and transportation systems. Do you know that the government is still using fax? The government still uses fax in some departments only. They continue to use fax machines. They claim it's security, but really, that's just a cop-out. It's a cop-out, guys. I think that these messages that we're hearing, they're underscoring a widespread, more serious issue, risks across critical government and transportational systems and infrastructures. Now, I'm not going to get into exactly what they are because I'm not here to give bad actors things that are, sharing our vulnerabilities. But I will tell you that we need to be harnessing these. And maybe that means something to you, and maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But all I know, guys, is that we need to be aware of what's going on. We need to be aware of what's going on. And if we're aware of what's going on, then I think that's important for us to know. And I know that sounds hard, but we have to do what we need to do. I mean, I think that's a big, big thing. We have to do what we need to do. And if we don't do that, then that's a very, very big problem. And shame on the government and shame on everybody. Because if we're electing all these people, we've got to do the right thing. No more excuses. No more games, guys. Let's take accountability and do what the blank we should be doing. Enough of this hodgepodge nonsense. And this shouldn't be all about politics, guys. It should be about what's needed in our country, right? What's needed for the people. Maybe that means something else. Maybe it doesn't. But something has to be done about it. But I think we as a country have a responsibility to do the right thing. I mean, that's the whole thing, guys. All right, our next point. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to our government? Well, Corning drops exclusivity to avoid the European Union fines. Corning has sidestepped a massive European Union antitrust fine by agreeing to terminate its exclusive supply deals with phone manufacturers. Regulators arguing these deals stifled competition and innovation in the smartphone space. Now, with the new caps and oversight in place, Corning is free from fines but still under watch. Maybe not, right? I think this is very crazy. And I think our world right now is a little bit crazy with what's going on, right? The fact that all this is going on because the European Union Commission, the glass maker behind Gorilla Glass, was under investigation for requiring manufacturers to source nearly all their alkali AS glass from Corning, often with rebates, now legally binding. Corning commitments include waiving exclusivity clauses, capping global supply deals 50%, and staying monitored for 9 years, while the European Union could have fines coming up to 10% of its revenue. The case closed without penalties or admissions of wrongdoing right now. That's a big, big problem. And we're just going to have to see what happens, guys. And Xbox movies and TV stores shut down by Microsoft. In a surprise move, Microsoft has shuttered its Xbox movies and TV store. And users can still watch purchase content, but new rentals and buys are off the table. And this marks the end of Microsoft's push to make Xbox a media hub and signals a pivot to third-party apps like Prime Video and Apple TV. Well, we know what happened with Microsoft as they closed down Skype, right? Was that really a good move? I don't know. I don't think it was the greatest move that they could have done, right? So Microsoft has abruptly shut down the store, angering a lot of people. While users can still watch previously purchased content in the app, they can't transfer it to other platforms unless they use a service like Movies Anywhere, etc., in the US only. No refunds will be issued, and the third-party apps like Prime Video and Apple TV remain unaffected. First launched as Xbox Video in 2012, this closure marks the end of Microsoft's long effort to position the Xbox as a multimedia hub. Does that make sense? My big question is, why did Microsoft do it? Why did Microsoft shut down the Xbox movie hub? because the market has shifted towards streaming services like Netflix and Amazon Prime, and they can't keep up with it, and they don't have the technology to keep up. I think that's our big problem, right? That's a huge problem for so many people. I think the biggest thing right now is the fact that all these companies do things. You know why they do them? I think they're just doing it because of money. I think that's the real reason. And ham radio clashes with space mobile. However, Spectrum and old school tech community is fighting back now. Ham radio operators are challenging Space Mobile's plans to use a frequency band long reserved for amateur radio. I'm actually a ham operator, Kilo Delta 2 Oscar Romeo Juliet. And I actually have my tech and I have my general. I'll be going for my extra soon. They warned that satellites to phone services could cause massive interference with emergency communications, and a rare clash between legacy and future tech is brewing. I think this is a serious problem. I really do. So we're just going to have to see what happens. It's the ST Space Mobile. They're pushing back because of the planned use of the 430 to 440 megahertz band for satellite to phone services, which overlaps with the spectrum used by amateur radio for emergency and public service communication. The critics, including German operator Mario Lorenz, and he argues the AST's proposal to the FCC is vague and risks international interference, especially when its planned 248 satellite constellation is there. And that's going to be a problem. While AST claims it's following FCC guidelines, ham radio users warn that each spectrum could disrupt critical communication infrastructure, prompting a growing wave of formal complaints to regulators. And that's a huge problem. I think that's a big problem. And Google's got more trouble. Google sues to stop Android malware botnet. And Google is taking legal action now against the creators of massive malware botnet known as Badbox 2.0, which has infected over 10 million Android devices. It's found mostly on cheap gadgets, and this botnet turns phones into cybercrime weapons. Google wants to shut it down before your phone joins the criminal network. But I think it's only because Google's not getting paid any money, right? We know they've done some things that, let's just say, are not, well, the most agreeable according to the statutes of the law. They've been gray line, but they've been marginal. DuckDuckGo now lets users block AI-generated images, feeling overwhelmed by fake AI visuals. DuckDuckGo just launched a feature that lets users filter AI-generated images out of search results using open-source block lists. The new option empowers users to control what they see and fight back against AI misinformation. Cleaner searches are finally basically coming. So, as I said, if you're tired of the AI trash, DuckDuckGo is letting you block AI images. They've launched this new feature. It allows users to block AI-generated images from their search results. And while the tool isn't perfect, it won't catch every AI image. It uses curated block lists from open source projects like uBlock, Origin to filter content. And users can toggle this filter on in the Images tab or use a dedicated AI-free browsing link that will also disable DuckDuckGo's AI chat feature. This move responds to growing user frustration over AI images dominating search results, highlighting a broader trend of tech companies offering tools to manage unwanted AI content. And I think that's a problem for a lot of people. And number 14, Microsoft bars China-based engineers from defense work. Microsoft is drawing a line in the sand, banning engineers based in China from working on sensitive U.S. defense cloud projects. And I think, guys, I think this is a really, really good thing because right now I see a very, very big problem with China and all the security. Despite digital oversight, officials argue that supervision wasn't strong enough, and this move underscores a growing trend of tightening cyber borders in increasingly complex geopolitical tech landscape. Wow, that's a lot of information, right? I think sometimes I think that's a thing that maybe scares some people. And I get why, but I think we have a responsibility to do what we need to do. And if we understand that, then hopefully you guys are not going to be upset with what Microsoft decided to do because again, it's a big liability problem, right? We're just gonna have to see what happens, guys. This week has been a whirlwind, and I see AI changing the game more and more. But I think as AI starts to change the game, we have a responsibility not just to ourselves, but to the country and the world at large to do the right thing. All these things we talked about today with India and, the Netflix issue, Russia shutting down, San Jose starting to use AI pretty soon to train their staff, Meta making a false death report. It makes you wonder how things are going a certain way, like why things are going a certain way. And I think the biggest answer I can give you right now is that you have to be understanding of what is going on. You have to know how to choose AI in a very, let's say, a very unique way, right? I don't think that's hard to do, but I think a lot of people don't want to do it. Why? Well, I'm going to tell you why. One, AI is tied to a lot of money. I mean, let's not kid anybody about that. And I can tell you that the more that you take into consideration, I should say, about what's going on, I think the more that you'll appreciate what's good and what's bad with AI. And again, AI is not good. AI is not bad. AI is a tool. Does that make sense, everybody? I think the more that we think about a lot of situations like ICE and China and Corning and Xbox, the geopolitical as well as the business landscape is changing every single day in our life. And I think if we understand that, we should know how to respond to that. But I don't want you to think that it's going to happen all overnight. But what we do need to do is look at the resources we have and figure out, is this going to be the greater good for all concerned? Many of you guys know I'm going for my next master's in computer science, artificial intelligence, and then my PhD. We have to do this because, see, if we don't, it's going to cause a lot of problems with a lot of people. And those problems are going to be, I'm going to say, intertwined with so many other things, whether we're talking about health, whether we're talking about sales. I'm talking about the health infrastructure, right, for hospitals and things like that. Financial data. It could be things like insurance data. We could be talking about real estate data. There's a lot of data that we can be talking about. If we understand this, then I know you can appreciate why I'm spending so much time on AI. AI can do a lot of great things. Let's not kid ourselves. But AI also makes a lot of mistakes. It does. And I think the more that we can understand that, does that make sense, everybody? And maybe if we have an understanding of how the world works and how our thoughts play into the bigger picture, right? Not just what it's doing for your home or what it's doing for your business, but what's it doing for our economics? What's it doing for our infrastructure? Okay. And that could be things like government, like this one, politician, this mayor. So do you think it was a good idea for California's mayor to use ChatGPT for AI? Increased efficiency, but I'm concerned about some bias. Right? Hopefully that means something for all of you. This is my concern, is that if it means something to you, then you're going to make the choices along the way that are going to be the best for you and for society. Right? Those choices will affect not just today, not just tomorrow, but generations down the world. Implementing um, digital robots, or these systems like AI robots or AI umpires or digital umpires. I get why they're doing it. I just don't know if it's going to be handled in a way that's going to be best. I think the thing about this, right? And people would probably ask this question, and it's a great question to ask. Can a digital, electronic umpire throw a coach out of a game? It wouldn't have the authority to eject a coach in the same way a human umpire would. And so it's going to make games a lot harder for people to play. You know why? Because they're going to have to really figure it out. And that might be something that's hard for a lot of people to understand. That you've got to figure it out. Everybody says AI, 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 AI. And yes, it's getting better. But I don't want you to dare ever think that AI thinks like a human or that AI has feelings. It can mimic feelings, but it doesn't have feelings. That's a very, very big thing. That's a very big thing. And if we understand that a robot is a robot or AI is AI, then I think you at least get the idea that AI is a tool, right? It's not a human being. And the more that we understand that, the more that we can not only respect the tool, but we can get others to respect the tool as well. So a lot of people like AI. You know why? Because they know they're going to make a lot of money off of it. But they don't care if it's going to hurt the emotional connection with people. They don't care. We went to Easy Pass. Was that the greatest thing? Probably not. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It is a privilege, pleasure, and honor to be with you every time I'm here with you, whether it's on the Jay Moore Tech Talk Show, Inspirations for Your Life. Do check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. I'll catch you real soon. And let me know your thoughts about, do you want a digital or AI robot empire in your baseball game that you go to see? Have a good one, everyone.